A very good morning to you. It is Monday, Motivation Monday, coming to you on Family TV. We are also live on Family Radio. It is a brand new week. It's raining, but God is good. We thank the Lord for the rains. Now, there are people who are just difficult. Maybe you're one of those people keep telling you, you're such a difficult person to deal with. I was watching a program the other day, this business program where contestants are given a task to do. And there's this one contestant, every time people would just say she is difficult to work with because she thinks differently, she just sees things differently, her personality is just way out there. So, how do you deal with difficult people? Where do you even begin? That's what we want to look at right here on Motivation Monday. Sometimes we think just because we are born again, glory, hallelujah, we go before the Lord in worship, that it will be easy to deal with people. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. I keep saying that's the easy part. Love your neighbor as yourself. The difficult neighbor, that's a hard one. How do we get through that? That's what we're going to be looking at. This morning, I am so blessed. You know it's 2020. It is the year of double. So I have two guests in studio with me. Two powerful women, my friend. Phyllis Maitha, who's a publisher, author, and mentoring the youth. She's a head of marketing at Kenya Institute of Management. And she also recently got a leadership award. Mtuanguvu. And also in studio with me, I have Imani Mwaura, a banker, a teacher, and a mentor. Ladies, welcome to Jam 316.
Thank you very much.
I already feel motivated. I'm hoping that by the end of this interview, the two of you will not leave and say, that man was so difficult to deal with. Because you're talking about dealing with difficult people. How would we classify, or what would make us say somebody is difficult to deal with?
Okay, thank you very much, James. A difficult person is a person who's very difficult to communicate with.
Oh.
So you have them everywhere you go, from your family spaces, in the office place, even in the church, even on the road when you're trying to drive, because they always have issues with life. Then we have 4 types of difficult people. So the first person is their downies. Today morning it's raining and cold, and I can tell you they have complained about the rain already. They have said how, it's flooded, this rain in January. They have something wrong about everything. So, and they really complain about everything. Okay. So we have in the Bible, the Israelites. They complained in Egypt when they were slaves. Yeah. They complained when God tried to save them from Egypt, and they complained in the wilderness. And then we have passive people who are very difficult. They're difficult because they don't do nothing about it. Okay. So for example, if you're married, they meet with you and they tell you how bad the husband is, and they are beaten up, or something is wrong about their marriage. They do nothing about it but just remain there, and the most they do is talk about it slightly, but mostly they're very introverted and not opinionated. Okay. However, we have another group of people who are know-it-all. They're better than. They know better than you. So the minute you say you want to travel this year and you're going to Egypt, they have a reason why they have been to Egypt. They've been there before you, or they've read about it, or they question everything about you. And then we have tanks. Tanks are bossy people, and you have them all around. And as we speak this, all of us have one of these traits. Yeah. Yes.
In fact, I was going to ask you that could I be a difficult person to deal with, but I really don't even know it.
It's very possible. You know, as Phyllis was talking, and some of those traits, probably for me, something jumped in me, and probably it's from a distance, you know. Yeah. So I really think all of us have some difficulty in us. But as she said, when it's difficulty in communication, you have to become self-aware. It's important to get to a point where you become self-aware and get to see the people around you and even their response. I think what makes us more difficult is not caring. Okay. Because there are many things that can make us difficult. Maybe it's not my daily trait, but it could be the weather could affect me in one way or the other. Probably I was on the road and someone splashed water on me. Probably I was coming to the studio and I ran late, you know, and in a way I don't realize I'm now becoming difficult. But self-awareness helps us to deal with people, because we all have difficulties.
Okay. Yes. Would somebody be a difficult person to deal with maybe because of their past. Some things happened in their past and caused them to take on this personality, which is kind of like maybe a mechanism to defend themselves because of hurts in the past.
Actually, I agree. Yes. The answer is yes, that people are difficult for two reasons. So one of them is genetic. A lot of genetics. So you find people who are hot-tempered or behaved in a certain way.
Yeah.
So you're told you're like your grandfather. You're like, you've met people who are told, or when they are difficult, they tell you, sorry, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm like my mother. However,
Is that a good excuse?
but we have learned behavior. It's behavior. Because
Yeah.
if I grew up in a family of 12 and we had to compete for breakfast or for space or to be heard, when we go to the office place in the real world, we carry those traits where you don't realize the cake is already too big for everyone.
Yeah.
But because of scarcity mentality, you really have to push everybody. Yes. But I don't
It
know what
reminds
you
me
have
the
to
joke
say.
that people say in weddings, you know,
Yeah.
or in a buffet, you serve a mountain
I'm telling you.
because of that mentality, maybe, and you
Yes.
don't realize you serve a mountain. But this is a buffet; you can go back anytime, you know. But yeah, you're right. Because of that, growing up and genetics, like you said, we realize. I mean, we're doing things a certain way. Yes, yeah.
I've one of the things I've realized, sometimes when there are people who are direct. In our culture as Kenyans, Africans, we like to skirt around certain things.
Yes.
You want to circle the airport like 15 times before you land the plane. You know, some things we don't say. Yeah, if somebody has made you angry, if they ask you, are we okay? You just say we're okay. We don't come out and say, I'm not happy with you. We don't come out and say what you've done is very foolish. And so I find that when we find people who are that direct, they are difficult people to deal with. I don't know what you think.
You're bringing up culture. That culture also plays a big role
Yeah.
in how we are perceived by the other person who thinks you're difficult. Because if you grew up knowing that gender, as a woman, women in my community do not talk, for example, then you come out really headstrong, then that is perceived as difficult. And you know, even the other way around. So there are men who are supposed to, communities that allow men to be macho. And if he's not that aggressive, he's not perceived as a man or a man enough. So yes, culture, as you're saying, and Kenyans, as you're saying, we are non-complainant. We look good and receptive, but behind the scenes, we are really big complainers. That's why we are so active on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm just wondering, because
Yeah.
both of you are professional women.
Yes.
Has that ever come across to you that you're difficult to deal with? Maybe if you have men who are answering to you and reporting to you, but because of this culture thing, and because you're firm about what needs to be done, they say you're difficult to deal with. Has that ever happened?
It has happened to me,
Yeah.
you know, and the fact that you're also vocal.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you are expected to be quiet, you know, just flow with the flow. But when you raise up your voice, not really in terms of volume, but just be able to
Assert
say
your authority.
something. Exactly.
Yeah.
And people think, no. But I also want to add to what Phyllis said, that culture plays a big role. And when you're exposed to another culture, for example, you know, if you've grown up in Kenya and all that, you think the way we do things is the ideal, is the way of doing it. But you realize when you get exposed out there, you see a different thing. So coming back, and I'm talking from experience, I have been exposed out there. And so I realized when coming back, it was people looked at me as a difficult person, for example, because of being able to sometimes speak up. To sometimes say, oh, could we do it a different way? Even looking at things in a different way, it can be perceived as difficult. And the word is perception, you know.
Yes.
You know, because perception is not always the reality. Yes.
Even though perception creates reality for that person.
Yes.
Wow.
I love your question. Of course, I've been perceived difficult
Yes.
in even different personality traits, where I've been passive and somebody has complained, why did you stand up for me? You understand? Or I have demanded for timelines to be met in a project and somebody thinks you're bossy.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
So yes, like I said, all the traits, we all have them to some extent. And also they play on a bad day. Like she said earlier, that you could be running late, or it just you could be facing other issues elsewhere, and then you just come out difficult. But yet it's just a momentarily thing. It's not a permanent thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about people who are confident? Do we sometimes look at people who are confident and think they're difficult to deal with? Because they're so sure of their ideas, that they're sure about who they are and where they are going, and they will not take any kind of crap.
Yeah.
And they will not waste time on certain things. I mean, our mejipanga. But now, because we are dealing with them and sisi hatujajipanga, we think they are difficult to deal with. Could that also be another possibility?
Yeah, because confidence, I mean, like you said, confidence is just being certain of what you want.
Yeah.
I want it this way, I want it red and not blue. You know, you're just very certain.
Yes.
And as you said, to some people, there are people who are attracted to confidence. But then there are people who are like, no, we were to have a conversation here. Where do you factor me in? And so if you are those passive people, you quickly withdraw and think that person is difficult.
Yeah.
Because they've just shown their confidence in whatever they want to do. And especially when it comes to projects.
Yeah.
We see a lot of people who are taking the leadership role to probably, some of them are confident and they know what they want. And here you are thinking, but I thought we're in this together. Can we discuss and all that kind of stuff? So you quickly retrieve.
Yeah.
And you just leave them. Yes, which should not be the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the confidence bit. Somehow humans are judgmental. You judge even without the person opening their mouth.
Yes.
As they are walking in, you're already making some conclusions
Very true.
about this person, especially the more confident a person is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't realize this person has worked hard to get where they are. Because confidence, you don't ask for permission to be confident.
Ooh, I like
So
that.
you just become confident.
Yes.
And once you have self-awareness, you are oblivious of the environment, because you're aware you're being judged anyway. So be confident. If you must be confident,
Yes.
be confident.
Yes.
If you must be confident,
Just be confident.
don't wait for somebody's permission.
No,
Just
don't
do
ask
it.
for permission.
I'm wondering about mindsets. Yesterday in church, I was doing a discipleship class and we were talking about mindsets. And I'm wondering if this can also affect the conversation we are having, so that somebody seems difficult, but it's really because their mind is set in a particular way. Yeah.
I could
They think in a
respond.
particular way. They have things they have believed and they can't budge on them. It's just the way their mind is set.
I wish to respond to
Yeah.
that. When I was growing up, my mom told me about a golden rule. Treat people the way you want them to treat you.
Yes.
However, you realize with adult life, that's not how it works.
It's not how it works, yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So there's something that has come up called the platinum rule.
Oh.
Now, in the platinum rule, treat people the way they want to be treated.
Oh, the
So
way they want
to be treated.
Yeah.
And that comes as a solution of dealing with difficult people. So
Okay.
it's always so important to understand your audience. And because I'm a marketer, your target audience. Once you understand your target audience, you treat them the way they want to be treated.
Treated.
You actually come up with discussions that they're passionate about, and you avoid what they're aggressive or resistant to.
That makes sense, because not all of us want to be treated in the same way.
Yes.
True.
So if you're treating me the way you would want to be treated, me, I don't want to be treated like
Like
that.
me, yes.
Yes.
I don't know what you think.
It's interesting. Yesterday we were having a conversation with some friends,
Yeah.
and so this one of the couples, the wife loves serving the husband,
Yes.
and the husband loves to be
Being
served.
served.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
yet the other couple was like, don't serve me.
Yes.
I know what I want. I
Exactly.
probably love rice, but I don't feel like it right now.
Yeah.
So you bring the platinum rule. I have to borrow that one. I
Yes.
really love it. That treat people the way they want to be treated.
Yes.
While one person loves to be served, not everybody wants to be served food. So that, and and just to tie it into mindset,
Yeah.
you know, there's probably, when you do something to someone, there's probably something that it does to them.
Yes.
So it's important to know why they want to be treated like that. I had another friend telling me, because she grew up in a single family home,
Yeah.
changing a bulb for her was no biggie. I mean, it's easy. So she gets married,
Yeah.
and voila, the bulb. I need to change the bulb, and she went and did it, and that impacted her relationship with her husband.
Oh.
Because for her husband comes from this family where there are things that are manly.
Yeah. Ah.
So changing the bulb
Is manly.
is a manly thing. So what are you trying to show me by changing the bulb?
Oh.
So while she came from a place of it's not a problem.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Here to the man, he's perceiving it like, what are you trying to show me? So I totally agree that treat people the way they want to be treated. And I once read a book that show me how to love you. Because then you need to understand
Yeah.
how they want to be treated. Which is a process, I think.
Making a lot of sense. Do you have any questions for us this morning? And don't be difficult. Ask the questions. Don't wait until 10 minutes before you get to 9 is when you're throwing me 15 questions. No, ask your questions now. Maybe there's somebody at the office. Maybe it's your parents. Maybe there's somebody at home and you just find they're difficult. Why do you think they're difficult? And so, back to our discussion. You mentioned 4 types of difficult people.
Yes.
I want us to chambua those 4.
Yes.
So let's go back to the beginning. Understand who they are, why they behave the way they behave, and then maybe how do we deal with them?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful.
But we can go back.
Yes.
So downies are the ones there's nothing good enough.
The complainers.
They really complain.
Okay.
We have Israelites as examples.
Yeah.
And you have people around you who, regardless of who is in the leadership of Kenya, they complain about the president, the economy. They complain about KCSC, you know, the leadership, the church. They will complain about everything. The roads, and they complain about Kenya. Yet this is our beautiful home.
Yeah.
Then we have passive people.
Okay.
Passive,
Before we get to the
yes,
passive
yes.
ones, let's stick with those ones who are
Downies.
complaining and
Yes.
the downies.
Yeah.
Where could they be coming from? Because I think if you understand where somebody's coming from, then it might be easier for you to know how to relate with them and how to deal with them. Why are they complaining that much? Is it because of their past? Because I'm thinking of the children of Israel. They're coming from a very harsh past. When they
Wow.
began, they didn't begin there.
Yes.
You know, when they went into Egypt, they were given the best land. They were given Goshen. You know, and because everything was good, they multiplied.
Yes.
They were rearing sheep and having babies, and they multiplied.
Yes.
And then that's when things changed for them. So I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah, I'm also speculating, and I think a lot has to do with their past. You know, that probably nothing good was called out of them.
Nice.
And so by default, all they see is, you know, the glass half full or half empty.
Yes.
Yes.
And someone recently said, no, people forget that you can refill. But
Yes.
I think that the past really, really matters. How you've grown up, where you have grown up, the environment, the people around you, from
Yeah.
the schools and all that kind of stuff. And that makes me just want to add that let's be careful, even as parents, as teachers. You know, those teachers we've had, they've called you good for nothing.
Ooh.
And unconsciously
Yeah.
it remained there, and that's all you have seen. So the past is how we grow up and how we raise others.
Yes.
Really, really matters. Yes.
Oh, amazing. So she's brought out the behavioral,
Yeah.
which is adoption. Adoption from hearsay.
Yeah.
And then I'll introduce another word called chameleonization, from a chameleon. What you do,
Chameleonization.
you become the same personality as those around you.
Your environment.
And that's why there's all this heavy thing of you become like the 5 friends around you.
Yeah.
We don't really understand until, you know, you dig deeper or you hang out with them. You actually become like them.
Yeah.
So going back to the Israelites, remember the land was nice and fertile, And then when one person started complaining, when the Egyptians started giving them heavy work, instead of thanking God or asking God, why are we doing this? They start complaining. So because you don't want to go against current, you complain.
You go with the flow.
And you complain. And then remember, Moses comes and tries to, used by God, to move them from Egypt. But even as they're packing, and as they're going through the Red Sea, remember just before they crossed the Red Sea?
Yes.
They complain. You should have allowed us to die in Egypt.
Yes.
You want us to die here? Then God opens the Red Sea. Then they go to the desert. And I can tell you, they complained until God was so annoyed to give them the manna from heaven, remember? So instead of asking God, give us food, they complained, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, we were talking about that this morning
Yes.
with Apostle Mr. T.
Yes.
He was here in the morning, and he was saying how, we're talking about prayer, and he was saying how Moses interceded for these guys. I mean, God had gotten to a place, he had said, move out of the way. I want to blot all of them out. I'll start another generation with you. And Moses said,
Yeah.
So Moses must have been somebody who knew how to deal with difficult people. So these complainers, umewaitaje? What was the name you've given them?
Communalization.
No, there was the first name.
Downies.
Downies.
Downies, what they do, they suck the energy out of you.
Oh my goodness.
Because this morning when you meet with them, believe it or not, it's
Yes.
Monday. You
Yes.
actually start avoiding them unconsciously because they drain you. You only reach out when it's a must. And if it's an office place, let's do the email. Let's talk when
Yes.
it's necessary.
Well, so now if somebody like that is your spouse,
Wow, that's tough. That's
imagine
tough and
going back home
difficult.
to that every day.
Yes, yes.
How do we deal with them? How do we deal with them?
Well, there's always a way.
Yeah.
The first thing is don't try to change them. Especially you've brought in the aspect of the spouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't try to change it. Because they say some of the complaining behaviors is genetic. Try and understand them. Like Steve Harvey says, Steve Covey, is try and understand before to be understood.
Okay.
When the minute you show that you understand, you know what they do? They start to opening up. Then you start understanding what happened in the past that may have driven this behavior. Yet it's not so easy for us to be patient, but it calls for a lot of patience. But you must really try and understand them.
Wow.
And in understanding, you can probably even find out the triggers.
Yes.
Because
they're triggers, eh?
they're triggers. I mean, I don't think in their heart they wish to be difficult. I don't think anyone wakes up to be difficult to everybody. There could be some triggers,
Yes.
and by hearing them, by listening to them, you find out where probably their voice is raising.
Yes.
Or where,
unnecessarily.
yes, or their facial expression,
Yes.
or even they start using words that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
So I think that seeking to understand before you're understood is very important, even to be able to deal with these people.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a question coming in. It says, I trust you're all well. I'm really enjoying the discussion and learning a lot as well. How do you deal with a boss who is moody, a bully, very critical and judgmental, and a gossiper? This is at the salon.
Wow.
So you are the right people to answer this question.
I've tried to categorize.
Yes. Let me read that again.
Yes, yeah.
First of all, they are moody, and then they are a bully. They're very critical and judgmental, and they are gossip.
Okay, just before I respond to that,
Yeah.
I go back to Imani's conversation, where we are told sometimes difficult people have no self-awareness that they're actually being difficult.
Yeah.
They are being themselves. You've had people tell you, I'm just being myself.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes they have no ulterior motive.
Ah,
So it's so important for you to pick it out, because the opposite of a difficult person
yeah.
is a narcissist. A narcissist
Yes.
wakes up or does everything with an ulterior motive. It's very calculated. So if I can respond to the person complaining about the boss, it's very important for us to understand, or for you to understand, is the boss a difficult person or are they narcissists? Are they just being bad to make your life difficult? Or is there a possibility they have no awareness that perhaps they need some feedback, and you can only feedback to them once you understand them?
Yes.
So that, the more you understand, let's say the boss has a family. So by just bringing up, or like, how is your family
Yes.
to the boss?
Yes.
When the many people see you caring, then they start seeing, a lot of us, especially Kenyans, we gossip, we go and talk about the boss behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And we forget that people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
The minute you show caring to this boss, that is part of understanding, you're likely to get along better.
Okay.
I don't know what Imani thinks.
Yeah, I agree. When you find that thing that they like, that melts them, it could be that, how is your family? How is your daughter? How is your son?
Yes.
You have just melted them.
A genuine interest in them.
A genuine interest, yes. And it could just, you pick that and you realize they're starting to warm up to you. And you don't know how the relationship changed.
Yeah. I think that's true, because I've seen cases where people say she's difficult, but for me she's not difficult.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, what are you guys talking
about?
Yes.
She's such an easy person to talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's because my connection with her is genuine. I'm genuinely interested in her as a person. I'm concerned about her.
Yeah.
And so because of that, her personality to me is very different.
Yeah.
As opposed to the people who just have transactions with her and they're thinking, nani yuko kwa studio leo?
Yeah.
Leo hiyo kipindi hatusikii. That one is very difficult. I have another question here. This one, it says, interesting conversation. So my question is, how do you deal with relatives who just decide to come to your house without clear communication that they are coming to stay for some time? I love people, but I'm an introvert, and at times I just need my own quiet space to reflect. Now, when people are around at times, I just get bored. How do I communicate? I need my space without hurting them.
Money, what do you think?
Well, that's an interesting one. And I'm just reminded what Phyllis had mentioned earlier. There's something that you mentioned about, or is it in a different conversation? Anyway, being straight, I think it's a culture. Where being straight is perceived as being difficult, being rude. And I'm just thinking, people are coming. First time, maybe you can let it slide, but the second and the third time, what if you become straight? And becoming straight doesn't really mean the choice of words. I'm one of those people who I really think before using those words,
Yes.
So sometimes we just have to be straight, but being straight also calls for wisdom to know which words to use. Probably the first time it will slide, but the second or third time, I don't see a problem you communicating. Next time if you're coming, please let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know. And relatives become one of those things.
They're so entitled.
Yes. There's that entitlement that, but you're my sister, but you're my auntie, why not? Yeah. But
I actually had an experience like this.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, all the relatives from Western Kenya knew when they come to Nairobi, they are coming to that house.
Yes.
And it got to a place I had to sit down with my parents. And I had to explain to them why they need to tell these people to ask. Not just to communicate, I'm coming. You're coming and I don't have food to feed you.
True.
You're coming and I don't have a place for you to sleep.
Yes.
Maybe you're coming and my some other people had already come before you. So I told my parents, you know what? Number one, they need to tell me when they're coming so that I plan better for them. Because when they come, they're my relatives. I want to treat them well.
Yes.
You need to be wise.
Yes.
I need to treat them well. I need to ensure that they have a nice place to sleep. They have clean bed sheets. There's enough food for them to eat. Maybe they will need somebody to help them do their run their errands in the city.
Yes.
I am working. So if they tell me in advance, I'm able to organize.
I guess also it's a very dicey conversation.
It is.
Because these are your relatives.
Yeah.
This is your blood, and most probably from there they're coming from, you're the one who's doing well. And then I hear this guy or the person talking.
Yeah.
First of all, they are introverted.
Yes.
So they don't know how to communicate, which is part of their
The
difficulty.
problem.
So I believe there's always a way, like the way you've said.
Yeah.
By going to your parents, wow, that was a good one, thumbs up. But I guess it's very important to communicate. But platinum rule. First of all, like for me, I'm very engaging. I will sit with you and tell you how it is. It's in a budget. Or we are struggling.
Yeah.
You understand? And then I'll try and understand why you're in Nairobi, for example.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I've tried that before where I even link you up to a job for you to go. You get it? Because we need by the time you took at that space,
Yeah.
there's a reason why you need the space. But up country, they're busy saying, wanaishi nyumba kubwa sana, hata sijui kwa nini wanaishi na hawana watoto. So also culture checks in.
Yeah.
But I think communication is very important. That's why we are having this conversation.
Yeah.
And understanding, and also letting them understand. And you can help the person understand by helping them get their own home. They start paying their own rent. And living in Nairobi,
Yes.
they will understand. Yes.
This one says, I'm enjoying the conversation. How do you deal with a strong-willed woman in the sense that she would love some things to be done her way? And if not so, it means you're not supportive and you're not standing up for her in any manner. And some issues require consulting for better results. How can you help?
I think it goes back to what we've talked about.
Yeah.
Understanding. So the strong-willed woman is the modern woman.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you know any not strong-willed women, including your daughters. They are very strong-willed as they are coming. By understanding, especially their childhood, because a lot of things are driven from childhood, from what a teacher either said or did not say, or a dream they had, and they are pursuing it. And then all these trainings and exposure we are having, it's telling us if you can dream it, you can achieve
You can
it.
achieve it, yeah.
So if you understand that's her tagline, it gets better because you understand them and you stop having conflict. So instead of conflict, I work for understanding. Because we are told, make you better or make them better.
Oh.
Making you better is by understanding.
Yeah.
Making them better is by listening.
Yes.
And maybe reaching out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, I cannot overemphasize this thing called understanding them, hearing them, trying to even fit in their shoes to see where they're coming from. Yes. Because, it could end up for your better.
Yeah.
But don't just rub it off. Because everybody has a voice. I truly believe that, whether it's that child, whether it's that wife, whether it's that husband, whether it's that sister, everybody has a voice. And by listening to them, like Phyllis said, it could even make you better.
Very true.
Yes.
Very true. Thanks for this great talk, Imani and Phyllis. How do you deal with people who carry with themselves a lot of bitterness and anger as a result of how life has been tough for them? So whenever they talk, they are like a volcano that has erupted. Moto wa kuotea mbali. How do you deal with such people? This is Ann Kenyua from Nakuru.
You've actually defined a downy. Like, that's a perfect downy.
Okay.
Now, a downy will go to church, will pray and fast, speaking tongues.
Yes.
But forgiveness is a foreign word. And a lot of times when we talk about the topic of forgiveness is they need to forgive themselves. Because when you forgive yourself, you can forgive others. Just like if you love me, if I love myself, I have something to give. So a lot of it comes from their self-awareness.
Yeah.
But of course, I will say understanding, but I don't know how you can transform them. Like we said earlier, now you've talked about the chameleonization.
Yes.
So more often than not, you avoid them because you become like them. You carry grudges like since 2020, like long time ago.
Yeah.
Instead of being positive, because you can hear they're very pessimistic about everything. You get it?
Yes.
And then they blame. Yeah, that's another trait of Downies.
Yeah.
There's always somebody who is
It's always
responsible.
somebody's fault. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
it's somebody's fault.
Yeah, it's never their
Yes,
fault. They
yes.
they also have this self-righteousness.
Yes.
I didn't do
Yes.
anything. You're the one who caused all this
Yes.
to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
First of all, shout out to Ann Kinyo. I think I know who she is. But just to add on to that, the words she has used, that they're like a volcano,
Yeah.
Imagine.
ready to erupt.
Yeah.
Given a chance, they will
erupt.
erupt. And at times allow them to erupt, but also help them, guide them. So after erupting, so what next? Not trying to change them, but help them to think through. To think through what they are going through or what they are saying,
Okay.
So and these people are all over around us,
Yeah.
They are there, the times we are living, the past and all that kind of stuff, but listening to them and then helping them.
Okay.
Actually, also the same eruption, volcanic behavior is in tongues. Tongues are those people who are sometimes irrational. So what you're told is when they're in that mood or in that space, try and ask indirect questions. They interrupt their thoughts. Like, what project are you working on? Because they love to explain those behaviors. They want to be heard. So they want to explain and be heard. So more often than not, it's important to just go into their passion points, the platinum rule, where you understand what they care about, so that they can focus on what is good and we live on what's not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
That
what I
makes-
think.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be part of this discussion. I like this platinum rule. It seems that God also is using the same. He does not force us towards himself. Instead, he guides us towards him. Meanwhile, my husband is a downy. Yes, it is true that you can grow to understand such a person and find a way to live harmoniously. I have discovered that I have to be confident in myself so as not to be affected negatively. I think that confidence and high self-esteem also matters. Thank you for the informative session. This is Judith in Nakuru. She says, Phyllis mentored me through campus and I'm still mentors me through life. I'm proud of you, girl. Congratulations.
Nice.
Naona uko na mafans. Let me see if there's another question here. Is there another question? Okay, this is more of a relationship question, so we will not get into it. It will take us in a
So
totally
let me
different
say
direction.
Thank you, Judy. We used to call her Judo in campus.
Okay.
She's a brilliant girl, extremely intelligent. And, when you hear these conversations where people are downies, you feel sad when you understand them.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you imagine somebody walked in and you understand them so well, you allow them. So I think by allowing them to be is a win. Because it stops affecting you. Because it's
Yeah.
very easy to blame yourself for some other person's behavior.
Yeah.
Yet you have no clue. You are not part of it at all. Because they complain. But with time you realize that's the way they are.
Yeah.
So you do you clean you. And I think with time the behavior will change from their end.
Okay.
Because they see they're not affecting you anymore.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
things that may perhaps have made you feel bad before, you just let them be. So yes, let them be, and then try and understand them, and perhaps engage them on other topics which are not the current topic that's top of their mind. Distract them in some way.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about that person who recognizes through this discussion that I'm actually the kind of person they're talking about? I complain a lot. I'm always just complaining. If it rains, I complain. If the sun comes out, I complain. When I don't have a job, I complain. When I get the job, I complain about the job and my boss and they're not paying me well. And they're thinking this needs to change. Which direction would you point them in? How can they begin to change this attitude and this personality that they have taken upon themselves?
I think the fact that you are becoming self-aware
Yeah.
is a good direction. It's a good direction that you now catch yourself, and then find something to appreciate instead of complaining. A challenge I would give you: write it down if you can,
Yeah.
and in 30 days you start seeing things in a different way. You start seeing, oh, it's raining, but it makes it cool.
Makes it green.
It makes it green, you know. So start appreciating things. And if you can journal it, the better for you. That when you sit down and start looking at it, I mean, mindset changes. Yes.
Actually, my mind has gone crazy and wild when you're talking about that. They say it takes 21 days to change a behavior. So since you're aware, you're halfway there. You're already starting. You're aware. And then also by journaling, like what she's saying, and then also gratitude. The heart of gratitude. You can start a gratitude jar. Where you start writing or journaling 5 things you're grateful for every day.
Wow.
True.
That works. Where you start having a heart of gratitude. You start even seeing God's creation differently. You can thank God for something. So a heart of gratitude, and then patience with yourself. And also forgiving those people who perhaps have the same behavior from where you came from. Perhaps you've inherited a behavior that you feel like you cannot do something about. So I think our self-awareness, you're getting there.
Wow.
It takes 21 days.
Ladies, I'm hearing voices in my head, and it's not the Holy Spirit. It's my producer saying we've run out of time.
Okay.
We need a part 2.
Yeah.
Let me just put you on the spot since we are there. Will we get a part 2? Because imagine we've only covered one.
Wow.
Yes.
And we have 3 more. So we'll need a part 2. We'll have to make it happen.
We'll avail ourselves.
Great.
Yes.
Tuma salamu. Hapa mtu atokagi kama hajatuma salamu.
Wow.
Lazima mtume salamu.
I wish to tuma salamu Nax Vegas.
Vegas.
That's to Nakuru people.
Are you from
represented by Judo? And finish that PhD. We are waiting. We need to come and crown it.
I am telling you.
And of course, I thank all of you guys watching, all the people who love Family TV. Family TV and Family FM have been my childhood station.
Wow.
Somebody had asked me to come work here and I thought I was shy. I said no, sir. So
You-
thanks for
you
keeping
shy.
live.
You.
I've grown up.
Okay.
All right, same thing. Nakuru people, starting with my parents who are listening in. Of course, I cannot forget my brother and my sisters who are listening in. My friends, the Baraka CLG, Jemo, you know them. They are listening in. And for everybody who's taken time to listen to this, to watch this, I really hope you found something that will really benefit you and help you live with people. I'll just drop this. Find random acts of kindness and do it to someone today.
Awesome. Ladies, thank you so much. I truly appreciate. My friend, look out for part 2 of how to deal with difficult people.